Hey guys, it's Bill Vinci and Ryan Vinci from No Time for Nonsense. Tonight I'm going solo. Ryan's got the night off tonight, but you guys are going to be hanging out with me for about the next 45 to 50 minutes. I am with special guest Georgetown Hoya, Michael Graham. Michael, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing great, Bill. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. You know, it's been a long time since we finally got together. We've been talking now for a few years, going back and get you on the show and everything else, but we finally got you on board, man. So it's good to see you.
Hey, man, it's glad to be here, man.
Absolutely, man. So before we get started, I want to just let everybody know, if you're watching on our page, make sure you give our page a like at No Time for Nonsense. Share the video, get the word out. Mike's got a great story. We want to tell it tonight. Also, we want to thank Matt Grabsky from Out of the Way Cafe and Joey's at 307 for being a main sponsor of tonight's show. Matt, thank you so much. You got to go down if you're looking for an incredible breakfast and lunch. Check out Out of the Way. But if you're looking for a fantastic dinner, man, Matt's got you covered at Joey's at 307. So thank you so much, Matt, for being a sponsor of tonight's show. So, Mike, we're going to get started right off the bat, man. First of all, I want to know how you're doing through all this coronavirus stuff. Are you doing okay?
Well, we're doing fine. You know, it's good down here. I mean, I'm spending more time with the wife and my kids. I got a lot of housework that I have to do. So,
Yep.
I'm getting caught up on a lot of stuff.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, Mike, you got a pretty interesting story, and we want the people to hear about you and everything else, and we want to hear first. Now, you grew up in Washington, D.C.?
Mm-hmm. I grew up in Washington, D.C., in Southeast D.C., with a single parent. Basketball, in a sense, wasn't my thing because, I figured that I was the man of the house, that I had to go out and do certain things to try to help my mother provide.
Yeah,
and I really didn't start playing the game until I was probably in the 9th grade when I started playing. And the reason why I started playing, because I was in so much trouble with the law at a young age. Playing basketball sort of like turned my life around. I met this guy by the name of Larry Jewell, who was a police officer. And he came to my junior high school. And I guess after talking with the principal and all, he offered me to play, and then he went to talk to my mother, and she said, well, Michael doesn't know anything about basketball, which I didn't.
Right.
I had the height. I was a big guy, real tall, about $105. Didn't know much about the game, couldn't even make a layup. But for some reason, I sort of enjoyed playing for boys club. It showed me discipline, how to be responsible. So I sort of like took that and went on to high school with it.
Now, you went to Spin Garden High School?
Yeah, I went to Spin Garden. I played for one of the all-time great coaches in the Washington, D.C. area, John Woods. Great guy. He cared about me more than I cared about myself. He went through a lot with me because I was a hard guy to actually not coach, but other things,
Right.
I had my first child when I was in the 10th grade.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it took on a lot of responsibility, but I kept sticking with the basketball. My first year playing, we went all the way to the finals. We lost in the finals. And I played real well, and then it was like, where this guy come from? But, I was mostly a rebounder. I mean, I scored some points, but my forte was rebounding. And, I was throughout high school, I was called a man child. And, I had the ball here back then before Michael Jordan or whoever else wore it. And,
Right.
Guys in high school, they were fearful of me. And before you know it, man, I mean, everything blossomed.
Yeah.
Everything blossomed. I made high school All-American. And I was really shocked at that. Now I'm seeing all the awards come in. So it sort of like changed my life about me, me wanting to do the right thing.
Sure.
I became very popular in high school. So that sort of like made a difference, that made a difference.
Absolutely.
And, it just really took off from there.
I was going to say, plus being a father in 10th grade, you kind of had to grow up pretty quick.
Well, in a sense, I feel like I was already there because I felt like that I was the man in my house. You know,
Sure.
after all,
Right.
my mother being a single parent, struggling, you know, it was times where, you know, we didn't get to eat. My mother didn't get to eat, but she would make sure that we ate. I remember my mother never owning a pair of regular shoes. She always wear cloth bedroom slippers, even when it snowed so high.
Wow.
So, you know, stuff like that, you know, it sort of like bothered me. And me playing a game of basketball, you know, I seen a way out, you know, and I figured, well, I really got to do this, you know, because me, my mother, and I have two younger siblings, and if I'm the man of the house, this is what I got to do.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, basically, it went on from there, you know. High school, you know, my time senior year came, we were one of the top teams in the country, and I was the best player in Washington, D.C.
That's awesome, man. So after high school, now you went to Georgetown. Now, what made you want to go to Georgetown? Was it because it was in the D.C. area, or was it you had friends that went there? What was the reason to go there?
Well, I was best friends with Coach Thompson's nephew from the ninth grade.
Okay.
We were best friends. We played on JV and everything together. I didn't know that I was his uncle. During my high school time, I had signed a letter of intent with the University of Maryland. I was on my way to the University of Maryland. And, you know, I kept, you know, hearing this aide in the school who was best friends with Coach Thompson. Hey, have you heard from Big John? He sent you letters. You know, he sent you this. He's trying to recruit you. I didn't know.
Right.
But my high school coach did. And I didn't get the letters. And I don't know why they had something going on that years ago before me with another player. So it was a lot of confusion there. And, you know, I guess animosity against each other. So, you know, and that sort of like hurt my coach when I signed with Georgetown. I signed with Georgetown because during my high school senior year, we went to the Virgin Islands to play in a tournament. And I seen the game Virginia versus Georgetown. And it's like, wow, man, I wish I could play with one of those big guys, you know?
Right.
I mean,
right.
You know, the sky's the limit if I did.
Sure.
So later on during tournament time, I seen Georgetown lose to Memphis State. They lost because they didn't have a power forward.
Okay.
And I said, you know what? I think that's where I'm going to go. I really think that's where I'm going to go. So as they were recruiting and investigating me, what type of person I am or was, I was doing the same with them. And the guy who wrote for the Washington Post here in the high school section, his name was Donald Huck. And he told me this maybe about 2 years ago. He said, Coach Thompson used to call every week and ask him who's the best player in D.C. And he would say Michael Graham every week, you know? So that made me feel good. And I didn't know that until a couple years ago. So after, you know, I went through summer school and everything and joined the Upward Bound program, you know, to get the grades to go to Georgetown, did my SATs and everything. I played on the summer league team with Patrick Ewan and Reggie Williams. And we were the front court. And we were unstoppable. Oh, you know, whatever was coming off the rim, if Patrick didn't get it, I got it.
Right.
Reggie, he was doing his thing as the number one high school player in the country. So I really think Coach seen it from there. And ever since then, everything took off.
Yeah, that's where he sold you. Now you guys, 1984 national championship. You beat. Yeah, you weren't going to get away. You know, I was sick to my stomach when you guys beat my Cougars. I was the biggest Houston fan. You know what, Mike? When you look back at that game, and I still watch highlights from that game and stuff, the players that played in that game, when you look at it, you, Patrick, Reggie, Wingate, Michael Jackson, I mean, Elijah Drexler, Larry Mishaw, Reed Geddes, Benny Anders. I mean, you had some of the best college. It could have been one of the best games with college players that I ever seen.
Well, I really thought it was. I mean, it was really great. I loved all the attention, but you know, I went there to Georgetown to win a national championship. I told Coach that when I was in high school, you know, and I felt like he could, and evidently he felt like we could too. But it was that year was a sort of frustrating year, because as freshmen I didn't play as much. I remember me playing against Providence at Providence, checking Otis Thorpe. I scored 12 points in a row, and then I didn't play anymore. And I'm like, wow, I wonder why he took me out.
Right.
But it was frustrating. But as the year went on, I guess everything built up. And every chance I got, I had to show this guy that I'm the one that's supposed to be out there.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I remember us playing Kentucky, and they was talking about the Twin Towers.
Yeah. Yep.
I told them, we had practice that week. And I think, matter of fact, we practiced in Seattle. We was a long way from the Kingdom. Mm-hmm. Wasn't in the Kingdom, it was some high school. And I was so frustrated, and I wanted this so bad. I remember Patrick going up for a dunk, and I just took it out the air, and I put him on his butt. And the captain, Fred Brown, man, he went crazy about it, And I'm like, I'm in a sense, I was ready to go home. Me being the oldest child, I started to miss my mother. Mm-hmm. They had to come back there, sit there, Coach Mike Rowley, cheer me up. I'm back in the bus crying and everything because I was ready to go home.
Yeah.
And we was going to win this thing by all means necessary so we can hurry up and go home.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a fantastic run that you guys had and everything else. But here's the thing that got to me. Now, watching you play, the bald head, the aggressiveness, you were one of those guys that everybody would want on their team. Mm-hmm. When I'm a Knicks fan, and back in the 80s when we had Patrick and we had Mason and we had Oakley, they didn't give anybody an easy layup. And that's kind of reminded me of you guys. Nobody came down that lane. You weren't getting an easy bucket. I mean, you guys were going to foul and you were going to hit them hard.
Well, I had a no layup rule. You come down there, you're going to get punished.
Right.
And that's what I wanted to sort of like put in front our whole team. I wanted that. I was the leader of that. And that's the way we had to play. Sure. Because we couldn't have them beat up on Patrick. I remember we going in at halftime at the Kentucky game, and we were down, I believe. And Coach came to me and said, the reason I brought you here was to protect Patrick. And if you don't do that, then I'm going to ship you back to Southeast Washington. So the second half had to change. Mm-hmm. And it did. It did. So we wound up winning that game. As far as Houston, I remember us in the layup line. And you had everybody but Olajuwon looking at me. They was laughing. I knew right then and there they were afraid. I already knew we won that game.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that to me, and that's why the game is so different now today than it was back then. Today, you see these guys who get to the late, nobody even gets in from like that. These guys wouldn't be able to score the amount of points they're putting up today back in that day. And would at least not get to they got to be able to shoot from outside. I mean, it was just a totally different game now than it was back then. And I like the brand of basketball so much better back then than I do today. But when watching you play, obviously, you were not liked by other fans, by other teams because you played that hard. And was it because of the bald head? Did that scare people?
No,
just the way you played the game.
I believe it was the environment that I grew up in because when I was younger, as I tried to progress and play the game, I always would play with older guys older than me. Mm-hmm. DC legends, playground legends, and I would make it my business to try to dominate them any way I can.
Sure.
I never went out, played to try to hurt anybody because that was never me. Mm-hmm. But, if you're going to play against me, you're going to know I've been there.
Sure.
And I wanted to leave that impression. That's just the way I played.
Right. And now going back to some of that stuff, you had a couple incidents on the court, and I know this one especially talked in upstate New York with Mr. Hawkins. And it's funny, Mike, I watched that today, and we even when I was going through some of the film and I watched it, that was nothing. When I hear they threw a punch, it kind of was just like a push. Didn't even connect with him. So I'm thinking, are you kidding me? There was so much worse than that going on. So that kind of surprised me. I'm going, geez, if that's all it was, if for some reason it stuck in my head that you actually threw a punch and landed it. But he was kind of falling back. And it was just kind of a push. So, and I know you guys are friends today and stuff, and I'm sure you guys talked about it and everything, but that's just the way you played the game. I mean, that's, and I didn't like players like you when I was younger, like Bill Lambier and Rick Mahorn. I thought they were, Kevin McCann. I thought they were dirty, but I watched the highlights now and I'm going, you know what? I would have took any of those guys on my team to protect our team. If something went down, I knew that they were going to stand up for your team, and that's the way you play the game. So I respect guys like you and all those guys who I didn't like growing up when I was younger. So it's a different game right now. So that's I just wanted to bring that point up and stuff with that. But you know what? You had 22 points in that championship game.
Well, that's because that's something that I had to do. I mean, matter of fact, I think it was 14. It wasn't 22, but it was still more than my average.
Than your average, yeah.
Something I had to do to take the load off Pat because they was concentrating on Patrick.
Right.
So, every chance that I got, to make a bucket, I had to. And me personally, I cannot throw a rock in the ocean if it's a jump shot. My free throw was terrible.
I do remember that.
Yeah, but if I'm near that basket and I got a chance, it's going in that bucket.
You're gonna throw it down.
And that's the way I played.
Yeah, absolutely. Now another great thing about that championship game was you ended up on the Sports Illustrated, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. When I got back to campus, I had a guy who was in my dorm named Andy. He's from New York, upstate New York. Mm-hmm. He was telling me, he was like, dude, don't you know you're going to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated next week? I looked at him like he was crazy. I was like, man, you got to be kidding me. And lo and behold, I was on the cover. I was like, wow, that is something.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That's a great – I got that Sports Illustrated here somewhere in my house. That's just a great picture. You going up and throwing it down. It's one of those things where, like you said, as a college kid coming in, boy, that's cool to see, to get on the cover of SI. So, but you know what I want to do now is I do want to do a quick little game. I like to do this with guys. I'm going to mention a player's name that you played with, and you give me a one-word response about him. All right?
All right.
Michael Jackson.
Love him. Team leader, unselfish guy, nicest guy in the world.
Reggie Williams.
That's my partner in crime.
Is it? Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, Reggie was fun to watch, boy. He was such a he was a wiry guy, but boy, he was so aggressive to play. I mean, he would get to the basket when he needed to, and he had a great outside shot, and he was just a good all-around player. Very good.
Yeah, he was. I mean, Reggie, he was something different. We roomed together, and I always had these snacks. I had a bunch of snacks in the room, and he would just stay in the room and eat up all the snacks and not get in a pound. I love him to death. That's my guy, man. That's my guy. Reggie
Williams. Okay. How about David Wingate?
That's my guy also. We still see each other today. That's my brother.
Yeah. How about Billy Martin?
Billy Martin, I haven't seen him lately, but he's a good fellow also.
Yeah. He seemed like a quiet guy on the court, just kind of went about his business and played the game hard. I liked watching him. He wasn't that thing spectacular, but he did the little things.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yep.
And what about Patrick Ewing?
Dominance. Straight up dominance. The best center I ever played with, without a doubt. And I love him dearly also.
Yeah, actually one of my favorite Knicks of all time. Him and Bernard King are my two all-time favorite Knickerbockers. And as much as I didn't like Patrick in college, when he went to the Knicks, it was the greatest thing that ever happened to a Knicks fan when we got that lottery pick. I mean, he was special, and I wish a lot of the New York fans were a little more appreciative when he played there. They were tough on him. They're tough on anybody when you're losing. But Patrick, they were pretty tough on him when he struggled, but he didn't have a lot of guys around him. So, but I love the guy. I thought one of the best Knicks of all time. I love watching him. And
one thing about Pat, you can always count on him giving you 200% on that floor.
Oh, absolutely.
The Knicks 200%.
Absolutely. And last name we got for you, Coach John Thompson.
Respectful. Respectful.
Respectful. Yeah. Guys, if you're just joining us, I see a lot of people hopping online. I am with former Georgetown Hoya. Michael Graham is here with us tonight. If you guys have any questions, you can mention the message on the machine. I'm watching on my phone here. Any questions to ask Mike, I'll definitely relay the message over to him, and he'll give you his feedback on it. So if you got any questions, I see we got a lot of people watching right now. That's awesome. So, Mike, I want to ask you now, what happened after the championship year at Georgetown?
Well, basically, after the year we won the championship, I wanted to go into the NBA.
Okay.
I was told that I wasn't ready. I had a lot to learn, a lot of things that I needed to learn before I took that next step. But basically, it wasn't about things to learn. I was there actually to sort of like support my family. Mm-hmm. Because that was on my mind. I wanted to go home, and I figured out this was the time. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it now. Mm-hmm. And listening to advice that I don't know if it was the right advice. Thinking about it today,
right?
A lot went on. A lot went on, and as you know, I'm about to do a book. And I want to put all that in my book. I don't want anybody to think that I have animosity against Georgetown, Coach Thompson. It's none of that. I just want the truth to come out about why things happen, and everything happened for a reason. The only thing I regret about not going to Georgetown is playing with Reggie Williams, because he tells me every time he sees me, man, we could have won at least 4 national championships. Even the assistant coach tells me the same thing. And in a sense, I know that.
You're right.
I know that. But and that's what I regret. That's the only thing that I regret. So it wasn't that I couldn't do the work.
Sure.
I always did the work. Always help other players with their work. Anybody would tell you that knows me. But it just, I felt like some things wasn't right, and some things that I didn't want to tolerate, and maybe I was immature. That was part of it too. I was very immature during that time.
Right.
So,
right.
You live and you learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Now, you were drafted by the Supersonics, weren't you?
Yes, sir. Seattle Supersonics. Yep, 1986.
4th round pick with the Supersonics, and then after that, you did continue to go on and play in the CBA for a little bit, right? You played with a few.
I played in the CBA. I played for Phil Jackson, Cassie Russell, Henry Bibby. With Cassie Russell, we went to the finals after being in the last place in our division. We lost in the finals to Albany, Michael Ray Richardson, and those guys.
Yeah.
And then I played for Henry Bibby in the Tulsa Fast Breakers during the semifinals. I wound up getting suspended, which details will be in the book. But during that time, I was averaging 21 boards a game.
Wow, really? No kidding. Where did you play for Phil Jackson at?
I played for Phil Jackson in the Albany Patroons. I was one of the last cuts with the Seattle Supersonics. So, I had Bernie Bickerstaff came to me and said, we want to send you to our farm club to work on some things. So I wound up going to playing for the Albany Patroons. Yep. That's where I met Phil Jackson. Yep.
How was he to play for? How was he as a coach? I mean, he was young at the time, but how was he to play for?
I think he was pretty good. We just had a hard time filling each other out. During that time, my mother had passed, and I had a lot of stuff on my mind, and I guess he wanted to do certain things. He wanted me to play to my strengths, which was rebounding. And I guess I didn't want to do that. And again, that's immaturity on my part.
Right.
And I don't regret it, but you know, I hold the experience dear to my heart playing for Phil, because in a sense I sort of learned a lot. You know, I sort of learned a lot, learned how to channel my energy, as far as you know, with my attitude and how I was as an individual back then.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh, that's pretty interesting. Now, I do got a quote by a guy. Now, you might remember this guy, Chuck Everson from Villanova.
Oh, Chucky, baby!
Did I throw a name out there that rings a bell?
That's my man. That's my man.
I did a little homework on you, Mike. I wasn't coming unprepared with you, but he did say he was a scary dude on the floor, and he wouldn't think twice about ripping your head off. Is that accurate? Were you that fucking scary to other players?
That's accurate. Yeah, I don't know what they were scared for, you know, but yeah, that's accurate. I mean, that's just the way it was.
Yeah. No, that's funny. Chuck Everson, I remember him with Villanova. I wanted to ask you about that Big East back then. Obviously, the Big East is not the Big East anymore, but it's so sad when they broke up that conference. And looking back when you played, and the coaches that they had were just Raleigh Massimino, Boeheim, Thompson. I mean, there were so many good coaches and players. I mean, Chris Mullen and Willie Glass and Ed Pinckney. And, I mean, that Big East was insane.
That was the toughest college basketball conference in the country, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you think about back then, you look at the Final Four or the tournament, how many teams that go to the Final Four. It was at least 2 to 3 biggest teams there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, and that I miss the competition. You know, I miss me not being there in 1985 because I felt like I could have made a difference.
Right,
you know,
right.
And that's another thing I regret, not being there in 85, because then I could have went on and left.
Yeah.
You know, I could have went on and left with no regrets about it, because during that time I watched that game. You know, I knew that they needed somebody tough. They just didn't have the toughness. Yeah. They tried to do it amongst all of them, but it couldn't be done. You know, they needed that tough power forward to help Patrick, because Villanova was going at Patrick.
Yeah.
They never came in that pain if I was there.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that Dwayne McClain, Gary McClain, and Pinckney and them, my boy, it was they did have a nice team. That game, it definitely goes down as one of the, you know, obviously the greatest upsets of all time in a championship. It was just I mean, they took control of the tempo of the game, and that was it, boy. I mean, when you shoot, they shoot 70-some% from the field?
Yes, that's incredible.
That's. I mean, nobody's really going to ever beat a team like that. They just played out of their mind. They played smart basketball, and I mean, me and probably a million other people never thought that. You know, we said Georgetown's winning back-to-back, no doubt. But
right.
That's what made the Big East so good to watch, because at any time, anybody could be anybody.
Exactly. On any night, on any given night. And that's how it was. You know, you had to go out there and be ready to play every night.
Yeah.
Because that Big East, even from the last place team, could beat you.
Right. Oh, yeah. Big East tournament was so fun to watch. From Wednesday to Sunday. I mean, you had all those great games and stuff. Let me ask you a little bit about when they did break up. Do you think I mean, I know money is involved with everything now. So I think that's why that was done. But to me, it just lost a lot of great rivalries that you just don't get anymore. You know, I'm not a Syracuse fan, but even the Syracuse, I mean, to see Syracuse, Duke, North Carolina, Virginia, it's just not the same.
It's not
the same.
It's not.
To play in Madison Square Garden when Syracuse played St. John's, or when you guys played where the Wizards play, and you had Georgetown and Syracuse and Georgetown, St. John's, and UConn. I mean, those games were always intense.
Right.
There was just a rivalry there that you just can't get back anymore. And I don't know. I don't like the whole change with everything. And I know that, you know, the colleges and the money is a lot involved in that. But to me, it just lost a lot of credibility on fans and all those great rivalries you once had.
Well, I think the reason why football broke it up, the money in football.
Yeah.
That's what broke it up. I mean, without a doubt. And right now, the Big East is struggling.
Yeah.
And I hate to see Georgetown, probably at the bottom of the barrel. I mean, I physically get sick, when they lose. Even today, I physically get sick, and I wish I could do something to help, man. Man, you just don't know, man. Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. How do you think Patrick's doing down there with the team?
Patrick is doing great. And, Patrick, I think, is a hell of a coach. It just needs to be Patrick. Patrick needs to be the one that makes the decisions. Patrick needs to be the one that's running the program. That's what I think. And I think they'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, he'll get the recruits. I think, as he gets time, he's got Louis Orr on the bench with him, former teammate with the Knicks. And I don't know who else he's got on the bench. Are there any other players still involved with Georgetown that you know?
Right now, the only player is the coach of Coach Thompson, the son of Coach Thompson, Ronnie Thompson. I believe he works in the front office.
Okay.
But no other players.
No other players.
Yeah. And in a sense, that's what I think they need, because looking at Coach, when he was coaching, he had former players on the bench as assistants.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Patrick. Louis Orr, he's a good coach. He's from Syracuse.
Yeah. Yep.
But, they got a guy by the name of Robert, I believe Robert Kirby. He's supposed to be a national recruiter. But these guys, they probably good in what they do, but they don't know Georgetown basketball.
Yeah, right.
They don't know what Georgetown, you know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I agree.
I think that's what they're missing.
Yeah.
That's what they're missing. They don't know Georgetown basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a question for you, Mike, from good friend of mine, Bobby Taylor. Asked if he played with Ralph Dalton.
Yeah, I played with Ralph Dalton. He was on that championship team with us also. Ralph was one of the leaders, good guy, quiet guy. Mm-hmm. If you didn't do what you were told, you would hear from Ralph.
Oh, really? Wait, I got another question. Ask him about oh, shoot, somebody just asked me a question. Let me see what it says. Ask him about the story behind Dalton's high tops.
The reason why Ralph wore those shoes because he had a severe injury, I believe, during his freshman year, where he had damaged his Achilles, I believe. Mm-hmm. So Nike wound up making him a special shoe so he can continue his career playing.
Oh, okay. Let's see, we got another question. Thoughts about playing against Pearl Washington?
Wow. Man, Pearl was one of the greats, without a doubt. I mean, you talking about a guy that can handle the ball, that can make big plays. That was the guy. He used to give Coach Thompson ulcers. Every time we played Syracuse, I see Coach drinking a gallon of milk, a half gallon of milk.
Yeah, now let me ask you this. How much did you guys hate each other? Syracuse, Georgetown.
Well, me personally, I didn't hate nobody, I just tried to go out and play hard a lot, but we knew it was a rivalry.
Just a rivalry, yeah.
But I don't think nobody hated nobody. I'm quite sure if there was any hatred, Louis wouldn't be coaching on Georgetown team.
Yeah.
So it was just being competitive. That's all.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. Now, another question somebody just rang in. Do you keep in contact with any of your former teammates?
I keep in contact with Reggie Williams, Fred Brown, Gene Smith.
God, I forgot about Gene Smith.
Yeah, that's my baby. Yeah, Gene Smith.
Yeah.
Gene was Reggie and David Wingate.
And Wingate too. Yeah. Yeah. They. You know what? Reggie had a good NBA career.
He had a terrific NBA career. Yeah. I guess, injuries sort of plagued him.
Yeah.
When Reggie came out, he signed the biggest contract for a non-center.
Did he really?
Yeah. When he got drafted with the Clippers, he signed the biggest contract for a non-center in NBA history. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's something I didn't know.
Yeah.
No one I want to ask you is, the difference between college basketball today and college basketball back when you played. What's the biggest difference you think in the decades that you guys have played?
Right now, the difference is that you got every young player today thinking they can play in the NBA.
Yeah,
Every young player has an entourage now, which I think spells trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You got, these AAU coaches. I love AAU, don't get me wrong, but sometimes they got to know where the buck stops.
Sure.
Right now, you got a lot of high school coaches are not involved with some of these players making a decision on what school they're going to. You got the AAU coaches. Well, most AAU coaches, if they're not right, they're looking for a handout, a contract, a job. They're looking for something.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me now that most of these high school players are being paid today more now, and it's a lot of them than back when I was playing.
Yeah.
So it's a big difference, and they're not even as good of players as it was back then. Yeah. They're not. It's people telling them how great they are instead of telling them the truth.
Right.
They need to hear the truth. Right. Because what's going to happen after basketball? You got life. And if you can't deal with life, you're in trouble, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We got another great question from a good friend of mine, Sean Smaltz. Do you think college players should be paid?
That's a hard one. Me, I'm old school. No, I don't. Because, I think they should be helped, because I had struggles when I was in college, and luckily I had somebody to look out for me, to, bring me food, to take me out and buy me tons of groceries, and everything to sort of keep me in school. But, excuse me, I don't think they should be paid. Now, if they need something, yeah, I feel like that the NCAA should provide for them.
Right.
Or the coach they play for should provide. But I'm not talking about a car or a house or $10,000. That's crazy. If you're there on a scholarship and you going to school free, get that education. You'll be more humble. It'll make you humble.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What I wanted to ask you, a lot of people watching, guys, were with former Georgetown Hoya, Michael Graham, one of the key players to that national championship run, man. He did a lot of damage in the tournament. You know what? It's funny, Mike. We've talked on the phone before and stuff, and what we got here?
This is my 5-year-old Susan. She kept opening the door. She would not let me be by myself.
Somebody back there. How are you?
Say hi.
Good.
You wanted to come in and join us, huh? You're more than welcome to sit around and stay for the last few minutes we got. So, guys, if you have any questions, a lot of great questions coming in. You could ask Mike about it. Now, we did want to go after you got done in the CBA, and you played. You actually won something.
Yeah, I wound up getting lucky and hitting the lotto. It was for a little bit of chump change.
That's pretty cool. And I wanted to ask you, what did you open?
Well, I opened a couple of restaurants. I had a solid waste consulting business. I sent 2 people to 4-year schools. One graduates this year. The other one graduates next year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The one graduate this year goes to University of D.C. The other person goes to Allen University in Columbia, South Carolina. So, yeah, it's been okay. I mean, I believe in giving back because I remember when I didn't have and people gave me. I remember Christmases. I don't even think that we ever had a Christmas. So you look back on things like that, and it's a must that you do that. If you feel that somebody needs some help, don't be ashamed. Give them a hand.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. You
do. Right. You're right. Now the barbecue place. When I first got in contact with you and we started talking, I remember you had the barbecue place down. What was it, in Virginia?
No, actually, one was in Brandywine, Maryland, and the other one was in Bryan's Road, Maryland.
Okay.
Since then, I went on and sold them because health reasons. It got bad. Me, I'm trying to work 4 different jobs and never got any sleep. So my wife got worried, and
sure,
she said, well, it's either going to be us or you trying to work 4 different jobs. So I had to.
Yeah, no, that's a lot. Only one restaurant's a lot. So to have multiple and in other jobs is really a lot of work. So, but we did talk about that. So now going back to something you brought up earlier, you were talking about you're writing a book, or you're in the early stages, right?
Well, right now I'm in the early stages. I'm trying to hurry up and get my funding together to write this book.
Yep.
This is going to be an autobiography about my life. For me, when I started playing this game until today, what I'm doing today, I know it's going to be some interesting parts that people want to know about Georgetown. Mm-hmm. Well, only thing I can tell you is buy the book. And, like I say, it's going to be some writings in there as far as with me playing professional basketball, college basketball, the college that I attended when I left Georgetown, where we was ranked #1 by Sports Illustrated, and I never even stepped on the floor, and it might bother a few people, but I'm not trying to step on nobody's toes. I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody. I'm just giving my experience, what I went through, what I went through in college and on a professional level. There's some things about me some people don't know. Not only that, got times when I played for Henry Bibbidi, who was an NBA great, Cassie Russell, John Lucas. These guys that I played for. So I played for a lot of guys. And, back then when I was playing for those guys, it was a rumor going around that I can only play for a black coach, which was absolutely, crazy, So it got a lot of surprises in it. And I guarantee you, once you pick up the book, you'll never put it down.
Yeah, put it down.
The guy I got that's going to write it for me, he's an award-winning author. He was an assistant coach for Phil Jackson and a head coach in the CBA. His name is Charlie Rosen. You might have seen him on a documentary the other night.
Oh, yeah.
So I believe it's going to be good because he knows me also. So it's going to be a good book.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Now, Matt Grabsky, sponsor of today's show, said tons of work. Matt opened up his second restaurant here in the Utica area. So yeah, he knows a lot of work involved at multiple restaurants.
That's a tough business, man.
It is. And with Matt is he has his diner where he's open breakfast and lunch, and then he goes to the place that's open for dinner time. So it's straight through for him. So Matt does a great job. So if you ever come up this way, we'll have to take you out for some good upstate New York food.
Well, you're gonna have me up there.
You're gonna come up and visit?
Yeah, I'm gonna come up and visit, man.
All right, that sounds good, man. We'll take you out on the town. We'll give you some of our good upstate New York food and show you the area. You know what, Mike? There was something now. You got something on now. You're doing something to raise some money for the funding of the book. Tell people a little bit about that and how they can help out. I know I donated a few bucks to you. How can they do that?
Well, you can go on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, the autobiography of Georgetown Hoya Michael Graham. You can make your donation there, or you can cash app at $Graham209, or you can hit me up at PenPal. It's penpal.me/MichaelGraham50, which is all one word. Okay. Or you can try Venom at Michael Graham 325.
Perfect. So a lot of different ways to send Mike a few bucks over, help him out, get that book published, because I definitely want to read it. I got my name written on one of those.
Yes, you do.
And when you come up, we'll have to have you sign it. Matt Grabsky says definitely come by for dinner. He said that definitely come by. So we'll make sure we get you up here maybe this summer or something. So Mike, we've had a great show. We've learned a lot about you. You got a lot of stuff going on, but now it comes down to a tough part of the show. You're going to be entering the penalty box.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You're going to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Very simple. Favorite meal?
Favorite meal is pizza.
Pizza, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You guys got good pizza down in D.C.?
No, when it closed up my favorite spot, which was Uno's, they closed it up. So no,
closed it up. Okay. So pizza. Oh man, then you'll have a ride up here, man. We got some great pizza up this way. So
I know you all do.
we'll make. You're gonna eat well when you come up. So we'll have to make sure we get you some pizza now. All right, next question. Favorite musical band?
Favorite musical band? Kirk Franklin.
Kurt Franklin. Don't know who that is.
He's a gospel singer.
Okay, and that's that. You could listen to him all day, huh?
All day long.
Good stuff. Okay. Next one. Favorite college moment?
Favorite college moment had to be when we won the national championship and I hoisted my watch up in the air. That was my favorite moment.
Favorite moment. Yeah, that had to be pretty special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Favorite teammate? Who was your number one teammate?
Reggie Williams.
Reggie. Yep.
Yeah, Reggie Williams.
Yeah. What's Reggie doing nowadays?
He's running a youth basketball facility in the DC area.
Oh, is he? He's still local then, huh?
Yeah, he's still local. Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's awesome. All right, last question. If you could have sit-down dinner with one person, anybody, if they passed on, they're still around, and had one dinner with, so sit at the table, shoot the shit with, catch up, who would that person be and why?
My mother, because I miss her.
Yeah. How long's your mom been gone?
She's been gone since 1986.
1986. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be a good way to catch up with her, sit down, have a nice meal, and
yeah, a lot of catching up to do.
Catching up. There's a lot of years that come by that you have to catch up on and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Michael Graham, what a great story. Guys, if you haven't, make sure you send him a few dollars. Check out his Venmo, his PayPal. Go on LinkedIn. Go on Facebook. There's plenty of ways where you could reach out to him. I could just imagine what that book is. We got one more question coming in. Did he play against Mel Turpin and Sam Bowie?
Had him for lunch.
Yeah, you did play. Wait, didn't you play them in the Final Four?
Yeah, but that's the team we beat before we played Houston.
That's right. That's right. Yes, that's right. Yeah, Turpin and Bowie. Boy, you know what? They never turned out to be. I didn't think Turpin was going to be a good pro, and Bowie I thought was all right, but he seemed soft.
Well, after they finished playing against us, we sort of like took the air out of them. They were done. They were done.
Yeah, that's right. That was that Final Four. That was another big matchup. He said I think they held them to 10 points in the second half.
Yes, we did. We had the NCAA record for defensive percentage against them.
Really?
Yeah, we shut them down. We shut them down.
Points.
Yep.
That's pretty amazing for two guys like that on a college team. That's pretty man.
That's who everybody was talking about. Who was going to win it? The Twin Towers.
Yeah.
By the time we finished with them, they were the Twin Midgets.
Well, guys, Mike, I want to thank you so much, man, for coming on tonight. It was finally due that we got together and caught up and heard your story and stuff. What a great story. I'm looking forward to the book when it comes out. Definitely going to get one, and we'll definitely stay in touch.
All right.
Like I said, maybe when everything opens up again, maybe later this summer, you guys could come up and hang out with us. We'll take you around town and stuff, and we'll show you a little bit upstate New York up here. That sound good?
That'd be great, Bill. I appreciate that, man.
That's awesome, man. Well, guys, I want to thank again Matt Grabsky from Out of the Way Cafe and Joey's 307 for sponsoring today's show. Matt does a ton for the area, and he always helps out with our show. And make sure you give our page a like at No Time for Nonsense. And also, while we're not filming our other show, Empire Plate, this is kind of what we're doing. Any donations to our Venmo would be really appreciated to keep the podcast going. You can send it to Bill-Vinci. Not required, but anything helps out keeping the podcast going and bringing in great guests like this. And so, guys, I want to thank everybody. Make sure you tune in Sunday. We got country singer Eddie Arcuri that's going to be joining us from 3 to 4, and look forward to a fun show. But Mike, man, you guys, you and your family stay healthy and safe out there during this. And once everything's over, man, we'll make sure we get together.
All right, Bill. Love you, man. Thank you.
Bye, Susie. Take care. Love you too, man. Take care.
All righty. Bye-bye.